Welcome to the Living Wholehearted podcast, where we're helping leaders live with integrity.
Whether you're a single parent or a CEO, you're a leader. How you lead matters.
Welcome to summer. Jeff and I are actually going to take a little break from the podcast this July for a couple of reasons. One, we are always challenged to practice what we preach. And so when we are talking to so many leaders right now who are carrying the weight of all the concerns that are going on, from COVID to the racial injustices that are happening everywhere around us, we're talking a lot about rest and leaning into play and having time to process. And so Jeff and I are going to take the month of July to do that ourselves. We live in Oregon. July is one of the best months, probably July to September, where we have just amazing outdoor playground that we want to take advantage of. And so we're going to lean into practicing what we preach and take a little breather ourselves so we can play and rest. But that doesn't mean that we don't have resources for you, because guess what? The Encourage 2020 gathering is finally here this month in July. And so I'm going to do my little infomercial right now. So don't turn me off, because I want to tell you that we have recorded everything. It is unreal. This gathering is unbelievable. I am overwhelmed to think that we've been planning for 2 years, and we didn't know that COVID obviously was going to be here in March when our first gathering was supposed to happen. Things got canceled 24 hours before we went live at Rolling Hills Community Church outside of Portland, Oregon. We had all these women planning to come, and we were so excited for what God had in store. And just in a matter of days, we had to cancel. We rescheduled for July, hoping that we'd be able to do another live conference. But obviously, just with the complexity of COVID, we were unable to do that. And so we moved it to a virtual simulcast, which means that anywhere in the world, women can access this gathering. So from July 10th all the way through July 31st, women who have a ticket will have access to all 4 keynote sessions, which means incredible worship. It means keynotes with me, with Kathy Town, and a woman named Catherine Wolf of Hope Heals. She's a remarkable woman. Her and her husband, Jay, have written a couple books themselves, Hope Heals and Suffer Strong. And her message to live a life of courage in the midst of the story you've been given is so profound, and it is the big exclamation mark at the end of our sessions. I am so excited. So you will not, even just the cost of the ticket is worth these 4 sessions, but guess what? There's more, as we say in infomercials, right? They're always like, and there's more, and here's the more. You get to access, originally the live conference said you could only have 3 of the 40 breakout sessions that we provided with these expert speakers that are talking about issues that women are desperate to talk about, and we so need to. And even more now than ever before, we're all feeling the wake. Well, now instead of 3, you get access to all of the breakouts. And from the July 10th all the way through the 31st, you get to absorb them. You get to take your time to listen. The breakouts are mostly audio. There's a couple visual videos, but the keynotes are a video. And our hope is that women would gather in July 10th and 11th in their homes in smaller groups and be able to process these keynotes together with the worship. And we have discussion questions, and to go deeper in the community that you live in, whether it's your family, your sisters and your nieces and your daughters, or whether it's a group of friends, a group of moms. We are so grateful that God has brought us to this point where we're going to get to have some closure, because honestly, I have had this on my heart for years. And so for the month of July, instead of our Living Wholehearted podcast, you can access at Encourage, IN. So in meaning our courage doesn't get mustered up from who we are, but more of who we are in, that Christ is in us, and we are in a God who is really in charge of the entire universe and already knows what tomorrow is bringing. So we can be courageous to live out the call that He has on our life, that we can be courageous to live out of who He says He is and who He says we are. And even in our fear, in our anxieties, and all of those things we struggle with in our humanity, God is right there in the midst, and He delights in us. So this conference, we are actually talking about every single issue. I'm telling you, whether you are struggling with anxiety, whether you struggle with fear, how to process emotions, how to help your kids with healthy sexuality, what does that healthy marriage even look like? I can't tell you how many divorces are happening right now because of COVID. We're at a really kind of a crisis right now when it comes to just marriages. So we've got all kinds of resources there in your relationships when it comes to sexual abuse and trauma, how to help your kids and how to work through your own story. We're even having a mom share about how to raise healthy men. I mean, if you're a mom of boys, this is definitely, we've got some incredible breakouts for you. There is something for everyone, and I wish I could list off everything. The unique part is we're going deep. We're talking very real. We are also meeting the intersection of the clinical world and the biblical world. So I think it's going to be a trusted resource to say these women love God and know the word inside out, but they also understand the human body, the emotional world, relationship dynamics, trauma. There's so much expertise that's coming to the table. Don't miss out. And so I want to give you the month of July. Instead of listening to our podcast, I want you to be able to download and listen to the Encourage Gathering. So don't miss out. The other thing is we're moving into launching our book. It is finally here. It comes October 1st, and we are going to be doing a lot of our PR and telling people about what we've been spending time in the trenches. So it's called Shrinking the Integrity Gap Between What Leaders Preach and Live. Surprise! I'm sure that doesn't surprise you in terms of the title. But the depths of this book, we've given 12 really key symptoms, things that leaders are unaware of. We have blind spots, but they're the most common struggles that leaders have. And us being right there with you, we share from our own stories. And one of those struggles I'll just speak to is burnout and feeling like it's all up to me. And those symptoms lead to really icky coping strategies. And so part of practicing what we preach this summer is we're taking a little breather. We're going to go play. We're going to take a little time from recording, and we'll be preparing plenty of good stuff for you this August, and we'll launch back up. But until then, I just want you to know that regardless of whether you're leading your girls, your boys, your church, you're leading in the community, or you are just at the top of your org chart and you are leading and helping solve problems around the entire world. We know you, we work with you, and it is heavy and hard. Regardless of where you're leading, you are known, you are loved, and there is a God who sees you and knows right where you are. And so it's giving you permission to rest too, to take a little breather, literally take a breath, but also to dive into the gift he's given us in the rhythms of rest, of Sabbath. I'll end with this story. I mean, in Genesis, God creates the whole world, and at the very end of all he creates, humans are at the pinnacle of his design. And instead of saying, perfection, we got it right, excellent, he says, it's very good. And we know where the rest of the story goes because these very good human beings end up creating a wealth of pain and sorrow through sin and disobedience that we are still paying for today and what we're seeing in the losses today. But going back to the beginning where God is okay, I mean, he's the God of the universe. He could do whatever he wants. And he's okay with saying at the sixth day, it's good, it's very good. And I'm going to take a rest on the seventh day. Now, God doesn't need a rest because he's God, but he needed us to see that modeling. And as leaders, our people need to see us resting. If we ask them to take a vacation, we need to take a vacation. If we ask them to set boundaries, we've got to set boundaries. We need to not be sending our emails at 10 p.m. at night or getting up at crazy hours. I'm guilty of that just to get our work done, but to trust that rest is important, sleep is important, taking a break on the weekends, whatever your weekend is, and recognizing that summer is a great time to do that. And right now, in light of the COVID pandemic, we've been given a different kind of rest. The things that we thought we needed to do, and we're trying to keep all the balls in the air, we no longer can in many ways. And so we've been able to drop many of the balls that weren't necessary. And that's hard for us. I know it's hard for me. So to recognize that it is part of leaning into rest and being able to let go and to speak to that lie that says you're responsible for it all and it needs to be perfect. I'm telling you, if God was okay with a very good product and took some time to rest, to kick his feet up and rest, then we can too. Okay, so that's my final word. If Jeff was here, he would, pray over you and speak life and say, go fly fishing. That's probably what he would say. He's going to be doing a lot of that this summer, and we're looking forward to connecting with you again in August. Until then, check out the encouragegathering.com. That's with an I. Or you can also do a pre-order of the Shrinking the Integrity Gap. It's out. You can find it anywhere, including Amazon. So looking forward to being able to see more of the fruit of what God has been doing in the last few years. I just hope that at the end of all of this, whatever this is, that all of us would just be able to step back and to see the goodness in all the hard. There's a lot of hard, but there's a lot of good too. So I'm going to go spend some time myself this month trying to see if I can spotlight and notice the good that's been coming out of a lot of the hard the last many months. Thank you for joining us in being a leader committed to shrinking the integrity gap between the values we espouse and the values we actually live out in practice.